Hey guys, I'm gonna be doing something that I have been wanting to do for a really long time, um, and it's this what you're watching, whatever it might be. I'm going to try to not edit anything because I don't know how to do that yet, and I'm lazy, really, truth be told. But I'm gonna be giving my opinions on anything and everything, and this is kind of the first video of that. Um, an opinion on myself and well the things I've gone through, I guess. Hence why I'm calling it opinions nobody asked for. uh you know um I'm planning on titling this video like shifting blame and accountability, my opinions on those. uh Something like that. We'll see what I come up with at the end, but I essentially want to give my thoughts on those things because I know, all as I said at the start, nobody really asked for this opinion, but might as well just talk about it, right? Maybe there might be someone out there who can relate to it or learn or, you know, get a little bit of something out of just someone else talking about their experience, right? Um, and that's what opinions are for, similar to video games or movie reviews. People look at other people's opinions for either, well, they look to either have their opinion validated or they simply just want another point of view, you know? I I wouldn't say my life has been particularly hard. I've had a lot of troubles. I didn't have a good home growing up. I moved out of my mom's when I was 15. Um, I grew up with ADHD and I did not have support. Um, I didn't have support for anything really growing up. I was in my room all day, and my only escape from my reality was playing video games. Of course, my family hated that. I just lived with my mom, like I said, until I was 15. And my grandparents really disliked that I played video games all day, but they were loving. My grandparents are amazing people, and they always have been. Um, but, at home, I didn't really have anybody. I didn't have a father growing up or anything like that. My mom had me when she was young. She was in her early 20s, like 21, I think. Yeah. And, she wanted to live her life instead of take care of a child, which was, now that I'm older, it's fair. I don't blame her for it. Me and my mom are fine now. By the way, we're great. I love her to pieces. We've had those talks when we got older. We both matured. Um, but I'm not gonna get into like a whole life story here. It's I blamed a lot of things growing up. I mean, when you're a teenager, everything is wrong with the world. Everything is not your fault. Everything going wrong is everyone else's fault except yours. And I think I suffered from that for far longer than I think I would have had I had a normal upbringing. But there's a certain point in life that you reach where it is no longer everyone else's fault for why you do the things that you do. You reach a certain age where you are now aware and capable of making your own decisions. And it took me a really long time to realize that I'm 22 right now. My birthday was in March. I've been 22 for probably like a month now, or closer to two. And it's life threw a lot of shit at me. Truth be told, life threw a lot of shit at me. Um, and I shifted blame a lot. I like, let's say I did something bad in school. Okay, well, it's the teacher's fault for not teaching me. It's the teacher's fault for giving me hard work. It's my friend's fault for talking to me during class. It's and I had a lot of things, and there was some really bad things that I definitely did as a kid. And I'm grateful that I didn't have any worse backlashes because of it. I didn't do drugs or anything, though. I never have, never will, right? I don't drink at all. I never suffered from substance abuses or anything like that. But I made a lot of stupid decisions as a kid. And as a kid, I felt if only I had been raised differently, if my mom taught me how to handle rejection, if my grandparents, helped me learn how to do X, Y, and Z thing, if I was loved more or pushed to do more things instead of playing video games all day, I wouldn't be so dependent on these things. And I kind of held that sentiment until I was like 19, which is truthfully pathetic, right? Like, I'm 19, I should have my life together. And I know there's some people, it's also fair to say, oh, 19, you're still a kid, it's okay to make mistakes. For me, at least, myself, I feel like I should have had my life together by that point, which is completely unrealistic, by the way. I know that. But that's just how I felt at the time, I felt lost and confused, and, I had broken up with my girlfriend at the time, who was quite possibly one of the loves of my life. I dated her for like 2 years. She was great. And, I blamed everyone for everything. And it wasn't until I was in my 20s until I was 20, that I actually really sat down with myself and said something needs to change. And then nothing changed. Like, at all. Nothing changed at all, because I kept tricking myself into thinking, all right, I have to do this. Oh, but there's, my ADHD paralysis is stopping me from doing anything. I have these other things that I need to be doing. Oh, but I keep getting denied from jobs. So, like, there's really nothing I can do. But these excuses were just that, excuses. I made every possible excuse imaginable to not take full responsibility for what was happening in my life. I made every excuse possible as to why I wasn't getting up off my ass and doing something. And it sucked. And I knew I was making these excuses, but I just kept doing it. And I recently, probably like a few weeks ago by now, I hit a breaking point. I was the most suicidal I have ever been in my entire life. And don't get me wrong, I've never hurt myself. I've never like attempted suicide, but I've been really low, and that was the close, like I was just done, right? Like, life, God, take me now. Just praying to God, let my heart stop in my sleep. I have no will to live. I hit that moment, and I was sitting there lying in bed the next morning, and I just thought to myself, that it was a make or break moment, and I feel like a lot of people reach those make or break moments, not everybody, of course, but a lot of people, where you either give up or you make a change. And I really chose to make a change in my life, because I realized my life isn't meant to be spent sulking at home all day behind a computer. I have a life out there. It's somewhere, I want to see the world. I want to meet somebody and, marry them. I want to, find a nice girl. I want to find really good friends and have really good experiences, And I have good friends online, I think all of us have good friends online, but there's a different type of companionship when you hang out with someone in real life, And I don't want to meet these people, but I need money to do it, right? I need a job. And yeah, I've been looking for a job for like 3 years now. But, I've probably put in like over 200 applications by now, but obviously far and few between. I still make those excuses like, oh, XYZ is the reason I'm not hired right now. To be fair, in my defense, where I live, the only available jobs are like registered nurses or x-ray technicians. I don't know how to do any of that. But, there's always an option out there to do something, and I've just been avoiding it, But moving on from all that, something I've always wanted to do is this. Make videos, make YouTube videos, Twitch stream or whatever. I realize I am not an entertaining person when it comes to Twitch streaming. When I was younger, I always thought, oh, it's easy, just play video games and talk all day, right? Twitch streaming is hard. I cannot be constantly entertaining for multiple hours in a row. If I was hanging out with people, I could be entertaining for like an hour, maybe two, but then I get tired. It's exhausting talking to people. It's exhausting being funny all the time, right? And don't get me wrong, I am a pretty funny person. I like to toot my own horn, but I play off other people. I can't really be funny on my own. It's that's just the type of humor I have, which is fine. I'm not a comedian. I'm just a friend, right? But I never did. I never did make videos. I tried Twitch streaming for years, on and off for like 5 years, and I gave up, truthfully. No, I had like peak viewers, 5, and they were all my friends. But making YouTube and making Twitch content are completely different, right? Like night and day, right? And I always blamed my success because I was younger. Remember, I always blamed my lack of success on Twitch as, just, oh, I'm not playing a popular game right now. I'm not capitalizing on this. I didn't get lucky in this situation. Truth be told, I just wasn't interesting to watch, right? Who's gonna watch some 17-year-old kid play like Destiny 2 all day and he, doesn't say anything? He's just sitting there doing content, not talking, right? And I'm not great at video games. Don't get me wrong, I was great at Destiny 2. That game is piss easy, right? But I'm not exactly like pro league level player, so why would anyone watch me? These are the things that I didn't realize until I turned 22. And I really sat down with myself and thought, okay, how the fuck am I going to get my life together? How am I going to organize my life in such a way that I can just be happy and take control of my life again? Because at the end of the day, nobody can change my life except for me. Nobody is in control. The only person getting buried in my grave is me, right? It's about time I grab my own life by its balls and do something with it, And for a while I tricked myself into thinking I did make a change, but then I didn't, you know? And here I am now. I can blame ADHD all I want for the reasons why I'm procrastinating, for why I'm lazy. Oh, but I'm not on medication, blah, 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 blah. I don't need medication. I'm better than that, right? And I don't know how it works for other people, but for me, I can just suck it up. I can just move on. Saying I need medication is just a coping mechanism, I was forced to take it as a kid. I hated it. It tasted disgusting. I never want to swallow pills again in my life. I don't take anything. I get a headache, I'll drink water, I don't even take like ibuprofen. But it's I just push through it, and I watch certain YouTubers, and there's this one guy I watch. He talks about how the only person who can make a change in your life is you, and he's not like a self-help YouTuber, right? He's just a random dude reacts to videos, but it's some of the life advice he gives is just real. Like, it's not sugar-coated. It's not meant to make me feel better. It's just real. My problems in my life are from me, and it took me a really long time to learn that. But when I did, albeit a little late, it helped. And I'm so happy I pushed myself to make this video, and I really got off my lazy ass to do this because it's what I want to do. I want to make videos. I want to talk about things. I want to talk about what's going on in the world. I want to play video games. I want to talk about video games, movies, whatever. I love debating. I love sharing my opinions, and I love hearing other people's perspectives on what they think about certain things. Sure, some people are stupid and they got really dumb opinions, but it's interested to hear where they came up with those opinions, because some people have really cool and interesting opinions. Some people just have an opinion because it's the opposite of yours and they refuse to elaborate on it. But there's people like that everywhere in life, Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. I do that a lot. But the point is, I want to make videos because I like making videos. And, well, I've always liked the prospect of it. I grew up as a kid watching Markiplier and Jacksepticeye. I was like in 5th grade when Five Nights at Freddy's came out. I know, right? I'm still really young. And I remember watching Mark's videos, and he was great. You know, I grew up watching all that stuff, and it took me too long to accept responsibility. And, you know, I hope people watching this video, even if it's just one person who somehow sees this, you know, I don't think this is going to get many views as it is the first video, but that's okay, because I am going to pump out more, you know. I'm going to try my best to just talk about anything. I have to come up with anything and talk about anything. Sounds easy, right? Just come up with an idea and talk about it for XYZ amount of time. It's tough. And I have a lot of respect for people who put together like video essays or just anything really, you know. Coming up with an idea from scratch that people would like is a hard thing. You know. But I hope at least one person listening to this can learn from my mistake, you know, or at least take something and think about it. I could not accept responsibility for what happened in my life until I went through a lot of hardships I didn't need to go through, family-wise, friend-wise, and personal-wise. I'm sure if you ask some people, I've lived a hard life, but if you ask me, I would say I haven't, because I have loving grandparents and I had a mom who was willing to improve herself for my benefit. I blamed the world for why I couldn't get jobs, for why I was going through certain things. I blamed everybody. But I accept my responsibility now. It's late. I've lost friends, some of my best friends that I probably won't ever find anyone to replace. I've lost. And I say that in dramatics, of course. Sure, there's someone out there who will probably become even closer to me than these two were. But I love them, and I still do, you know? And I hope life finds the best from them. But I fucked up. And I think everybody's fucked up in life, you know? The real hard part isn't making a mistake and saying sorry. It's accepting that you made that mistake and understanding you're at fault for it. Nobody wants to accept responsibility. Nobody wants to take accountability for the things that go wrong in their life. And there's some things that happen that are out of your control, right? You get in a car crash, your plane blows up in the midair, right? No one's faulting you for that. But you say something wrong, you hurt someone's feelings, you assault somebody, you say the wrong thing, you know, that's on you. You did it, you know? I am an advocate for your freedom to say and do whatever the hell you want. Doesn't matter what it is. Obviously, as long as it's not hurting anybody, right? And, you know, there's nothing wrong with having a different opinion, as long as, you know, you understand that people's opinions might not match up with yours. You know, it is not your right as an individual to tell somebody their opinion is wrong. Obviously, like I said, there's nuance. So you can't walk around saying, I think we should kill everybody and then start shooting people, right? You can't do that. It's against the law. But if you just have like a silly idea, who cares, right? It's whatever. Thoughts are thoughts, opinions are opinions. I'm getting sidetracked again. Why'd you do this to me? Why'd you make me get sidetracked here? But I'm gonna end the video here. That's my thoughts and opinions on growing up, taking responsibility, taking accountability. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments. If you appreciate this, just some random guy talking about his opinions, another one of these people, you know. Leave a like, follow would be great. You know, I thought the market would be oversaturated with people. It's YouTube, right? Like billions of people are making YouTube videos. Why would I have room for me? That was just another excuse. I needed to take responsibility and say, you know what, hey, if I'll do my best to make videos because I like making videos. You know, and if nobody likes them, that's okay. That just means I didn't make good videos, but I still like doing them. And if at least like 1,000 people like it, I think that'd be worth it for me, you know? Nobody wants to talk to to make one person's life different. I mean, let's be honest here, you know. Nobody does YouTube because one person in particular likes their stuff, you know. There's people who do it because they just genuinely like doing it, right? Nothing wrong with that. But at least for me in particular, I like making other people happy. I like reaching a larger audience and improving people or giving advice or enlightening things or just giving a different perspective on certain things, you know? And I know that might be weird to say and admit, because everybody, you know, not everybody, but a lot of people would like to keep up I'm some virtuous personality. I'm a good guy who likes to just do good and do this. Truth be told, I just like giving people entertainment, you know? If I was good enough to be an actor, I would be an actor, you know? As simple as that. If I was good enough to be a Twitch streamer, I'd be a Twitch streamer, you know? If I was entertaining. I'd be a comedian if I was funny enough, because I like the idea of going up and giving people a good experience that they can go home and smile about. That makes my heart feel good, you know? So, take that as you will. Like I said, I repeat myself a lot. Oopsie. I'm going to be posting more videos, but thank you so much for taking the time to watch, and I'll see you guys in my next one, whatever it may be.